Okay, so we're going to continue. They'll ask you whether to accept the recording, just accept or okay it, and then you can stay in the class. If you say no, then they will take you off. So when you are selecting a project as a project manager, there are issues to consider. Sometimes there are projects which are sacred cows, or we call them sacred cows. No one touches them. The big man says, let's do it. E-Levy. E-Levy has come to GRE. You are a GRE boss. You have no option but to implement it. Such projects are called sacred cows. There's nothing we can do about them. Then we also have what we call the things that are needed for operating necessity. It's either we do it or the business will collapse, that kind of thing. Then there's others that are for competitive necessity. So our other competitors are doing something like that. If we don't do it, we'll be out of business soon. Sometimes mobile money service and all that, some telcos may not want to do it, but if you don't do it, you're likely to collapse. So you have to do it. Then we also have others like what we call the things that are needed, projects that are needed for product line extension. So maybe you already provide core services, but you may need to extend the product line to maybe data. And that's how most of these telcos ended up having a product line extensions. Today they will add this more new product comes. Yeah, it's not only the telcos, but I'm just using them because you can easily relate. But all like even the universities, right? Universities, you say now they like most of these universities of Campus, for example, started as education university. Then they continue now. They even read law, business, medicine, and all that. So some of these projects are needed to extend the product. 1 minute, please. Okay, just needed a glass of water. So I continue now. We continue. So that's one, and I have comparative benefit model. Those projects that are ranked by reference to the value of the benefit they bring to the organization. So why don't we do this rather? Why are we doing this? You move to from one point to another. So it's okay. We move from one project and then we move to the next. These are some of the issues that may come up when you are evaluating projects. Some are important. Well, all projects are important, but some you cannot do anything about it. Like the sacred cows, they are just come on you, but others you can have business reasons to do them. Yeah. Then we have numerical methods too, where we have the weighted factor model, where you construct a list of relevant evaluation criteria, and then each project is then scored depending on the number of criteria it satisfies. So you can have, let's say, 10 criteria you want the project to satisfy, criteria A, B, C, D up to J, and you decide to say, okay, did it meet criteria A, did it meet criteria B, and all that. So that one helps you too. And then we have the unweighted factor scoring. In that case, you score the factors 1 to 5, so that you say factor A, that this project will score like 3, factor B it will score 2, factor C it will score 5. At the end of the day, you look at the total, the project that has the total highest scoring, then you take it. Then the previous okay. Let me just save this one. The previous one is ready. So When we are done, I would send it to you online. All right. So the weighted factors scoring model. Now we don't only score the thing, but we attach importance. Maybe A, B, C have higher importance than C, D, E, F, G. So the one that have higher scoring importance will give us the if they are satisfied, then they'll give you higher marks. If they are not satisfied, they'll give lower marks. For example, if you want to decide on on 2 projects, but it is a software for your organization, the importance will be the cost. The cost of the software is important to you, so those ones will score higher marks. If the cost is low, it is more preferred. Okay, whether it is made in Russia or it is made in UK or it's made in the US or Japan, sometimes may not matter to you if you don't care about your risk, the risk involved. Okay, you can decide just, so sometimes the risk issues are low or the risk issues are high. If it's just for ordinary small business thing, you don't care much about the risk because you don't have much money at stake. But if it is for important stakeholders like passport and those that keep security information, you may want to talk about the security. So it depends on what you need from that project and how you are going to weight it or ascribe weights to the various factors. Yeah. So when you start a project, you may need a project initiation document. What are some of the things that you find on it? People call it a project charter and all that. All right. So the project initiation document, you have the goals and objectives, the criteria for success. Okay. Success factors, people call it. Details of the project scope, what are we going to do, the risk issues, roles and responsibilities within the project team, who is going to do what, project control mechanisms, reporting lines, how do you report to who, lists of planning, milestones, and the project budget. All these things may be in the project initiation document. So we have principle of management. This one you already know. When you are managing projects, you need to make sure there's division of where there's some authority in the organization. People know who is in charge of what. There should be discipline, unity of command, meaning that people should receive command from only one person. If people have multiple command people, multiple command, they will be confused. They don't know who to. It's but the finance manager said I should do this, then operation manager also say I should do something different. You know, sometimes the worker is confused. Then we have unity of direction. Everybody should take instruction towards a particular goal. We shouldn't have different objectives or direction in the organization. So we have also subordination of individual interests to the general interest. So we don't say that maybe I don't want to do this. So that is not, the business is not you. So you also have to make sure you work out what's in the interest of the remuneration. People should be paid well. Centralization, yeah, scalar chain, order, equity, stability of tenure of personnel, initiative, esprit de corps. Esprit de corps means everybody must be motivated at the base. Everybody should be, hey, oh yeah, let's go. And then if people are not treated well, there's no esprit de corps. So bureaucracy, no one likes, okay, maybe some people do like bureaucracy, but many people don't like bureaucracy. But it also has its own advantages, of course. So let's see how bureaucracy looks like. Normally in bureaucracy, there's a hierarchy. All things must go through that hierarchy, no matter what you do. Otherwise, things are not going to work. Then we have specialization. In bureaucracy, it means that people are specialized in doing certain things. So all things must go to them. If it's about legal issues, we must make sure it goes to the company lawyer. Whether you know what to do or not, it must go to the company lawyer. He's specialized in that. Okay, impersonality. So employees will work within rules and regulations. Don't personalize that this person is saying, no, it's the rules and regulations of the organization that this must be done. Then rationality. Even though there are rules and regulations, there should be areas or issues that people can have control over. So they are rational. We don't say that, okay, anyone who comes to work late will have to go home. So somebody genuinely has some issues or problems. So there should be some flexibility, I must say. So you should be rational. Don't just deal with the rules and regulations without being rational. Then you have uniformity. So in bureaucracy, everybody must be guided by one uniform direction or line of command where we are all going. We should do similar things so that there's no confusion. Then stability. So stability talks about rules, structures, and continuity that will remove ambiguity and create a stable environment. So everybody is aware of where we are going from here. A formal organizational structure helps to define work roles, relationship. I think we did organizational structure last semester, right? So I will not spend a lot of time here, but it's just to tell you how it works to allocate resources and people to coordinate activities. So we have in bureaucracy, there's the need for organizational structure, so everyone knows who is in charge of what. Yeah. All right. So we have features assessed by performance measures. So when you institute performance measures in an organization or in an organization, so what kind of things or features will your those measures assess? So the features assessed by performance measures. All right. What features will it assess? Whether the project was completed to the desired budget. Yeah, we know we have budgets, so we have to make sure it's projects are completed with the desired budget, the level of performance achieved, as well as the customer satisfaction, delivery time scale achieved, relationship strength, and responsiveness developed with the external supplier, right? So we need to also work on that. So it talks, so the things that we assess in performance, when we are measuring performance, the things that we assess will include the budget, time, delivery issues, relationship strength, and responsiveness developed with the external supplier. Okay, but you can measure more, but for this year, of course, this is what they wanted to look at. Then the changing importance of project activity, project objectives. All right. So during the formation stage of the project, cost issues are high on agenda and they are very important. During the build-up stage, cost issues are low. Why is formation stage high? Because that's the time we are going to do budgeting. So we need to make sure everything is high. But when you are building up, that one is not really an issue. You have already budgeted for it, so cost issues are not problems. They are already given that this is how much you're going to spend on it. So only a few changes are made. That's why I see that to the end, it doesn't matter again with it. Then the schedule will be high for almost all the phases because everything that we need to do must be on schedule. Then performance should be high at the initial stage. You have to make sure that our implementation stage goes well. But the build-up issue, because the performance issues have been predetermined, we just need to monitor it. And it comes out again at the main phase where we are actually implementing the projects. All right. And then at the end of the day, we have to make sure the phasing out or the final stage, we must make sure performance meets desired result. Otherwise, we have not done anything. So that's why it's also very high there. All right. So when you are developing specifications for anything that you want a project manager or a project company or a contractor to do for you, there are certain problems you are likely to face when you are developing this specification. Sometimes there's lack of internal communication between stakeholders and the design or manufacturing process. So those who are involved in the design and manufacturing process, if you don't engage them, you will have problems with specifications because sometimes managers, we are tempted to sit in the office and decide everything without consulting the right people. We may not get it right. Things like poor communication will be a problem. Fast changing requirements. Today, this, tomorrow, we want something different. You need to be concise and clear and keep to the issues. that you discuss. Then we have political conflict between different departments or functions. Political conflict. Well, this political conflict between the different departments or functions mean that when you are developing certification, because it's a multi-functional task, people may, if there is conflict, then you can't have it done properly. People say, oh, they don't like to work with certain people. It's everywhere. Like, okay. Then we have wishful thinking in achieving understanding of trading of the trade environment. So people are wishful thinkers. They definitely don't really want things to run the way we want it to run. Okay. Stages in the sourcing process. This thing I'm sure you have seen before. So we'll also not spend too much time there. I'll just try to draw attention to certain things that are here. So you need to, in every sourcing system, you need to have your procurement strategy, establish the need, develop contracts, those who will supply it, your specification issues, award the contract and manage the contract, and after that, then you close it, right? So with these issues, you have the early supply involvement at the first 3 stages. Okay, sometimes we say, oh, we should wait until we get everything done before we invite the supplier, but sometimes the supplier may be needed to even tell us to develop the contracts. The contracts can be different from organization to organization. So sometimes the suppliers or those who input things into our system would have very nice suggestions to give us. So basically, what we're trying to say is that we need to involve people that are needed at all the stages of the sourcing process so that we can be able to get the best out of it. All right. So good sourcing practices involve early supply involvement. We just spoke about early supply involvement, early cross-functional dialogue, bringing people from different departments together to work together for the common good, and decide how to handle the IPRs, the use of variant bids, the use of SMEs, appropriateness of partnering, the subject matter expert, or getting other business to support you. And then you have to also make sure you evaluate risk quite early, not at the end of the project, quite early, even in the beginning before you start, so you can be able to get the right supplier. You have to know the supplier very well. The supply chain participant in the construction sector. We have the client, the client or the person who is going to get the contract. We have the architect and engineering specialists. Sometimes we have engineers and architects separate from the construction firm, so we engage them separately. Then we have the contractors. Then we have those contractors will be the main people to work on most of the work. Then we have product manufacturers. Sometimes people who produce inputs. All right, distributors, material suppliers, service providers, insurance companies, they all participate in the supply chain system. Then corporate social responsibility talks about environmental issues, human issues, community involvement, impact on society. So everything you do, you need to make sure these things are taken care of, equal opportunities for people, ethics and ethical trading, sustainability issues, biodiversity, and corporate governance issues. So you need to make sure these things are taken care of in your corporate social responsibility. Then the waste hierarchy. Okay, so we realize that from the top, it's like a kind of a pyramid that is turned upside down. So you need to rethink most of the things that you work on. Rethink, eliminate waste at source. That is what we require. You see that place is bigger. We need more of waste elimination, right, at source. Then if you can't eliminate it, all you need to do is to reduce it. Then if you cannot reduce it, everything, those that you cannot reduce or eliminate, you reuse them. And if you cannot use some, then recycle. Okay, if you cannot use it, then you can recover certain things. You can dismantle and recover certain things from it, and then in the worst case scenario, you have end of life disposal. So you just throw the thing, not throw it just anywhere, but you now dispose it of appropriately forever. So you could certain things you could reduce. I know in developed countries like this, bottles, both plastic and glass bottles, they take them back for a fee. So they reuse them so that they try to eliminate the waste. But here, I think we just throw them away. Apart from Coke, Fanta, Sprite, and beer, and those things that they take the bottles, but most of them, they don't take the bottles back. I wish they could take them back. That is a way of managing waste in a better way. Sorry. Okay. So now we'll go to environmental issues in project management and procurement and sourcing and all those things. You have to make sure we talk about emissions. Okay, emissions are the most important issues when it comes to environmental issues. Yeah, and distraction to the environment. You need to use what we call renewable energy. Yeah. So there are so many things you need to do to ensure that we have a better environment, and sustainability issues are now becoming very important. So even the kind of fuel that you use, in some cities, you cannot drive diesel cars in Germany, only petrol cars and solar or electrical batteries. So we need to understand how these things work from time to time. There are some criteria for environmental scorecards. When you are trying to score yourself, how much you have gotten in terms of your environmental compliance, you can look at this from the number of projects with commitment to sustainability. Yeah, if none of them is committed to sustainability, you're just thinking of making money without sustainable issues, we check it. Then projects that are built, okay, projects built to standards. Okay, they are built to standards such as the Social Accountability International Standard SA 8000. We have also ISO 14000 series. Those ones are for environmental issues. Number of sustainability workshops that you attend or your staff attend, because the workshops help them to do things differently. Energy performance rating, recycle content of whatever you do, how much are you able to recycle, percentage of waste diverted from landfill. Yeah, if there are waste that could have landed in landfill, but you have used them, that'll be good. Then sustainability evaluations and others that are needed. Then we have social accountability, 8,000 issues. No, we discussed that earlier. So what are some of the things that are there? We have child labor issues, forced labor, and health and safety issues, freedom of association, discrimination, discipline, working hours, remuneration, and management system. They help us to make sure that we treat people fairly. So child labor is not allowed. It's a big issue in international procurement that no one wants the child to not have access to certain things because of the work they are doing. So the child labor and those things, you need to check it out when you are working on projects. Make sure you don't go contrary to these kind of rules. Then promoting opportunities to the supply chain or in the supply chain. So you need to be prepared to explain the process and making requirement clear and ambiguous. So if you want to promote the supply chain, people should understand what is going on, all right, within the supply chain. Advertising opportunities as widely as possible and ensuring advertisements are clear and concise. Getting people to know exactly what they can do, what they can offer, and what you have, and giving full description of the project into account, taking into account the nature, size, and risk of specific procurement. All right. So that will be it for today. I will stop recording and then we can ask some questions if there is any question. Yeah.
Sir.
Yes, please go ahead.
Sir, please,